Welcome back to another Switch 2 video. I know I said I wasn't going to do any of, well, in my head I told myself that I wasn't going to do any more Switch 2 videos, but seemingly, a lot of stuff has happened over the couple of days, I would say. I can't even say weeks, a couple of days. Some of these stuff has actually, been a little bit crazy in my opinion. And I thought, you know what, okay, I wasn't going to go over it, but okay, until I saw the leak today, which again, some of these things don't have to be legitimate, but it is interesting to see and take a look at least to see what it's all about. So in this video, we'll be doing that. So if you don't like any of these type of stuff where, you know, leaks and all that stuff, then do click away right now. I don't want to waste your time. With that out of the way, let's discuss. So the first thing I want to talk about was the Joy-Cons. As you've seen, the Joy-Cons have kind of been leaked, or at least one side of the Joy-Cons being leaked with this image right here, if you're seeing it right now. Very different from what we're normally used to when it comes to colors. That's the first thing I noticed about these Joy-Cons. It does seem a little bit out of, you know, place for Nintendo, and we haven't seen like something, I guess, color-wise weird. That sounds kind of sus. Color-wise, since probably the GameCube. The GameCube has this obviously indigo color, which, if you think about it, that comes out of nowhere, considering all the colors that Nintendo's use, red, sometimes a little bit even green and stuff like that, mixture of colors, not this weird purplish blue. And now we're going for this black and blue, and it's like, okay, this seems a little bit weird. Something that doesn't even feel like a legitimate thing. Now again, these are apparently meant to be the Switch 2 Joy-Cons, and apparently, if you see this little, I don't know if you can see it, if you zoom in on the left hand of the screen, then you can see like this little thing that looks kind of like a mouse, and the more I look at it, yeah, I can definitely see that looking at my one right now. So I don't know what kind of functionality we're going to get with some of that stuff. I don't know what that's all about, which is right under it. That, you know, for some weird reason, my dumb brain is thinking that's what you put in cartridge. I know that's not, but it looks like it in my head. I don't know why. It's just that, or you put in your micro SD card. I definitely know it's none of those things. And it's probably a little connector thing for the Switch 2, because apparently these are meant to be magnetic, which does make a lot more sense. And you know what? I prop Nintendo for that, because I'll be honest, I'm not a really big fan of the railing system for the Switch 1. I'm not a big fan for a lot of the things that Switch 1 has. So that is something I really hope is actually true. So what makes it a little bit more interesting about these Joy-Cons, and I guess how legit they are, is the actual writing at the back. Now, you're probably thinking, yeah, that could be AI generated. Well, I can't lie, that would have to be really precise, like that AI generation. Because I've seen a lot of AI generation myself, and most of them you can there's always something that gives it off. Now it could be me because, you know, artists do notice that, but still I do notice whenever AI generation is tend to be used, and this doesn't seem it. It looks too good to be AI in this sense. So that does seem a little bit weird. Also, it does look a little bit bigger too, so that is something to note. And that points out to the next thing I'm going to be talking about. Now, I know this is not the exact image that's floating online right now. So basically, apparently at CES, basically I think that's what the big tech industry basically showing off all their stuff at the beginning of the year. And so apparently one of the Switch, or the Switch 2 or a copy or something like that, Genki, showed off the Switch 2 and probably what a concept of what it could be, which is very interesting. I thought I might as well add that to the list and, you know, talk about it a little bit. Which, you know what, if that is true, and if that's generally how it's going to look like, that's kind of interesting, because it does look bigger than the actual Switch. And I'm not talking about screen size, no, I'm actually talking about the size of it. Again, I really don't want to show you an image, because again, I'm not sure if any of these stuff are legit, and the only thing I really want to show is probably the Joy-Con and this image, so that way I don't get flagged. I'll probably still get flagged, but then again, I don't know. The Nintendo Ninjas seem like they're on vacation or something, because so much has like kind of just went out there, And again, that could prove that Nintendo's not bothered because these are fake. So it's not to say they haven't done that, and to be fair, they have confirmed sometimes, no, we are not doing this or that. But since obviously they made the announcement last year about how the Switch successor will be announced this year, yeah, there's been so much rifled information on the internet, so that's not too surprising. Another thing I want to talk about is the motherboard. Now, if you've seen the motherboard, it does pretty much match up to what we've been told before, which is the NVIDIA Tegra 239, which again isn't anything special or that powerful, but again it's still a major step up from what we have already. And it seems also, which I can't remember where this was actually mentioned about the Switch itself, was that the actual dock or the Switch 2 will consume a lot more power when it's docked, which is kind of interesting because the Switch dock itself doesn't actually do much. And I'll be honest, there's not really much of a difference between not docking it and docking it. There's literally no difference. This is exactly why I don't understand why it's so expensive, but because you can hook it up to the TV, that's probably why. Anyway, we're going off topic. So we have that information that obviously it will use more power, which is kind of interesting because a lot of people also think that, including myself, think we're going to be seeing DLSS, which, if you don't know, stands for Deep Learning Super Sampling, which is NVIDIA's AI upscaler, which helps out with a lot of games performance and stuff like that, whether it's resolution or frame rate. Now, obviously, we do have the new DLSS 4, and obviously that's a major step up from the previous one, which shows, far levels of, machinery technology than ever before from the other ones. And they are still technically giving certain upgrades to the old ones, which kind of, when I saw that yesterday, I was like, okay, maybe this is what, they'll be doing for Nintendo for their console, because since they're, slightly still updating the older ones, maybe if Nintendo does use this, then we could see that, because again, we know that the Switch will probably be ranging from, like, power-wise from the PlayStation 4 to PlayStation 5, like kind of in the middle of those. Well, okay, PlayStation 4 Pro and PlayStation 5, in the middle of those. Which, yeah, I get it, is a little bit frustrating, and very frustrating because obviously we wait so long, and if you've been a gamer like exclusively for Nintendo, then that definitely has, because, well, it's still a step up, but probably was expecting more. But yeah, that's what we have so far, at least when it comes to the motherboard. I am kind of curious though how the dock will actually look like, because again, the Switch dock isn't that all impressive. It's not anything crazy, and it's very basic even looking. Like, even if you look at it right now, like, take a look at your dock, your Switch dock, go to your room or wherever it is, take a look at it. Does it look really that impressive? It really doesn't, because again, not much is going on secretly. I get it does overclock and helps that the Switch when it's docked, but other than that, it really doesn't feel like it's doing much. There's not that much of a difference. Now, if this is all true, all the things like the Joy-Con, the motherboard, and how the Switch 2 looks, then, well, when is the Switch 2 actually going to come out? Well, at least with the announcement. We know that we're probably going to be getting it probably this year too, because I really don't think the Switch can carry on another year. Don't get me wrong, it's gone strong, and a lot of people doubted that it would go this strong, and that is very true. But because we don't have literally anything new game-wise, Princess Peach Showtime? When's the last game we actually got something new? Not a remake or anything like that. When's the last time we got something truly new? And I guess maybe the Famicom mystery thing, that was something new in a sense, but that released like quite some time back. Again, we haven't had anything new, and the only thing we're having really this year so far that we know of is Xenoblade Chronicles X. Now there's, I think, maybe some other things, but not anything mind-blowing, right? Now Xenoblade Chronicles X was a big thing because, again, it's been highly requested. And we're finally getting it, which is a very, very awesome thing to have, and I look forward to actually seeing that and how that runs and all that jazz. That's going to be really amazing. But we haven't gotten anything new. Like, if you think about it, why is it that we haven't gotten anything new? Well, they're prepping for the Switch, and realistically, if they try to go on for another year, they will just have to do more ports. Now, another thing which I thought they was going to do was the Zelda remaster. Now, I'm not talking about a grand collection of all the games, which would be fantastic. I think everyone would probably pay for that and it'll go off stock. But no, the Wind Waker / Twilight Princess, I guess, double pack that we've been thinking of, we haven't gotten that yet. And it's really bizarre to me because I would have loved to seen that happen. But again, I feel like they might be saving that for Switch 2. And yes, I did realize something. Metroid Prime 4 is coming out this year, but I feel like that's also just going to be a game to show off the power of the Switch 2. I really think that's what we're going to be seeing. And so I feel like, again, maybe that's where we're headed, you know, that type of thing. Now again, we don't know what's really going to be happening. There are some other things I did want to talk about, but I think I'll save that for another video because I wasn't actually expecting this video to be, well, not long, but I didn't want to make it too long. I didn't want it to actually stay here that much, but yeah. Basically, we got the Joy-Cons. Well, we got to look at the Joy-Cons, the motherboard, as well as, well, a comparison of some sorts to the Switch 2 to the original. And we know that we're getting some games this year. Metroid Prime 4 is being the biggest one that we know that we're getting something new, brand new. Like an actual game that's not a remaster. Now hopefully Zelda and Twilight Princess does come and we do get their remaster, but as of yet, we don't. So they could be saving that for Switch 2. I don't know what they're going to be doing throughout this year. It might be a dry year. I mean, last year wasn't a complete dry year, but it was still quite a dry year compared to 2023. 2023, I would say, was quite still stacked. Last year was kind of a, a drop. And this year, well, the only thing we have is Metroid Prime 4. Am I forgetting any other games? Probably am. I don't know if they're really that big. I could be wrong. I'm saying this and I'm literally like ignoring one of the biggest things. Now we could see stuff like from Fire Emblem, which there was a leak about that if you didn't know, that we could be getting a game which is using Unreal Engine, which again does seem like it's being prepped for the Switch 2 rather than the Switch 1. Another thing is, we know that we're obviously getting backwards compatibility for the obviously Switch 2, and don't know if we're getting cross-platform. I mean cross-platform, I mean like, cross-gen, games where even if a Switch 2 game comes out, it will also release for the Switch 1. We don't know. They might do that, they might not. Personally, it would be a great idea. That way it could, bring customers in slowly and it doesn't completely betray your customers that you've already established. And as well as it just kind of gives them a reason to be like, oh wow, those graphics look great on this new system than the Switch 1. That kind of thing. You could do that. I don't know. I don't know what Nintendo is cooking up for this year, but yeah. Oh, actually, there is another thing I completely forgot to mention. That is Pokemon Legends ZA. That game has been in the works for quite some time. And we know that game has been worked upon because last year, we didn't even have anything for Pokemon. Like we did, but it was very minute. It was like completely radio silence from Game Freak, really. And that's been a first since probably what? Around the time of moving to Gen 6 to probably Gen 7? That's the last time we've ever gotten a silent year for Pokemon. Well, for me, it's been 2 silent years because I didn't bother with 2023 either. So, yeah, we had 1 year, which was literally last year. And now, we know that we're also going to get ZA this year. Obviously, we haven't got any more trailers or anything. They're being very uptight with this information for whatever reason. This could also be a Switch 2 release title, and I actually do want to discuss in another video what games will probably be releasing with the Switch 2, as I feel like it would be very interesting confirming what might and might not, while also speculating what might not and what actually might happen. So yeah, we definitely have stuff like that to talk about. But as of ZA, we really don't know much. And that's another thing I definitely want to talk about. So if you do enjoy this video, make sure to like the video, subscribe, that way you don't miss out any of my other videos I have planned. And without further ado, peace.